What unfolds when a CEO swaps his corner office for a mop and discovers his own team deceiving customers? Victor Ramsey straightened his stiff khaki uniform shirt, pulling it down to conceal the costly watch he had neglected to remove. He loathed the act of feigning, yet there seemed to be no alternative. There was an unsettling atmosphere at Store 12, one of the 20 locations inherited from his late father. Sales remained consistent, yet an excessive number of customer complaints were going unnoticed. He had lost faith in the reports. They were nothing but a facade of optimism, and Victor was well aware of the reality beneath. He had yet to encounter the majority of the frontline workers since the company surged in growth over the last 5 years. Store managers frequently shifted, while district managers seemed preoccupied with pursuing metrics. Additionally, given its status as a corporate chain, it would be quite unexpected for the CEO to appear in the role of a low-level porter. Not particularly clean-shaven, with hair dyed a shade darker, thick glasses perched on his nose, and a slight limp that he had practiced all morning, Victor completed the online application using a pseudonym, Evan Riley. He even endured the brief group interview, remaining silent as the assistant manager, a lean fellow named Travis, hardly acknowledged his presence. They required assistance urgently. The turnover had been poor recently due to low morale, and Travis brought it up candidly. That's how Victor found himself in a porter job without a single question asked. The morning unfolded in a whirlwind of disarray. "Hey, newcomer," snapped a woman with a piercing tone. Victor rushed out the door, swiftly collecting the stray shopping carts that were left behind in the parking lot. His hands seared against the metal beneath the ascending sun. Beads of perspiration trickled down his spine. It had been years since he had put in this kind of effort, and it was evident. Yet he persevered, maintaining focus, taking in every detail around him. On the surface, the establishment appeared immaculate. Yet a closer look revealed the underlying flaws. The break room was in disarray, the equipment was malfunctioning, the staff appeared exhausted and overwhelmed, and as for management, absent from sight until a significant presence arrived. By lunchtime, Victor felt drained, yet a young woman with a radiant smile, sporting a badge that read Cassidy Zimmerman Customer Service, beckoned him over. "So, you're just starting out?" "Huh? You can join us," she said, gesturing to a small table where 2 other porters were enjoying their sandwiches. Victor joined them with a sense of gratitude. Cassidy engaged in conversation effortlessly, inquiring about his former position. He crafted a narrative about his experiences in a quaint grocery store, offering insights on navigating the whirlwind. "To have daily challenges. Stay close to me," she urged. "There's a great deal of strange happenings," Victor leaned in. "What do you mean?" Cassidy softened her tone. "Mr. Darnell, the head of services, has been imposing additional charges on customers for standard items. If you opt for a basic delivery, he insists that paying a fast-track fee is required. It's not. It's complimentary. Yet he's been inventing fictitious charges." Victor's eyes fluttered open. Yet there was no intervention. "Some of us made an effort," Cassidy remarked, her voice growing tense. "However, Darnell has a close relationship with the store manager. They merely claim that we're bewildered." Victor experienced a gradual intensity building within his chest. This company was founded by his father, rooted in trust. If this were true, it transcended mere ethics. It struck a deeply personal chord. He resolved to witness it firsthand. That afternoon, Victor stepped forward to assist in the services department, where customers arranged their deliveries and pickups. Darnell, a stout figure with receding hair, hardly acknowledged Victor's entrance. "And you? Is there a new porter? All right, that's acceptable. Please deliver this paperwork to the woman at the counter." Victor picked up the clipboard and walked over to a woman in her 60s, who was holding a receipt tightly. "I don't understand," she said, her brow furrowed in confusion. "They mentioned that delivery was included, yet now he's claiming I need to fork over an additional $80. Victor offered a soft smile. "I will look into that for you, ma'am." He strolled back to Darnell, who was sharing a laugh with a fellow worker. "Hey, Darnell," Victor remarked nonchalantly. The woman inquired about the delivery charge, mentioning that she believed it was complimentary. Darnell's expression grew steely. "Inform her that it's a matter of policy. Only the fast track." She simply cannot afford to wait around for weeks. Can she? Victor feigned bewilderment. Isn't delivery part of the package? Darnell leaned in, his voice lowering to a whisper. Listen up. You want to hold on to that position. Follow the instructions given to you. Now, go and share that with her. Victor nodded, his heart racing. He approached the woman again, offering a strained smile as he asked her to hold on for a moment. With a furtive glance, he jotted down her receipt details on a crumpled piece of paper and discreetly slipped it into his pocket. Eventually, Cassidy found him near the loading dock. Exercise caution, she urged with intensity. I've witnessed Darnell let people go for far less. Victor's smile was restrained. I appreciate the heads up. He was meticulously strategizing his forthcoming action. The following day, the situation deteriorated. Victor observed Darnell as he approached a young father with a stroller demanding an additional $50 for a so-called priority service that was nothing more than a fabrication. As the man faltered, his anxiety about finances evident, Darnell leaned closer to the counter and murmured, You want it delivered this month or not? Victor's hands tightened into fists at his sides. He had witnessed more than enough. He required evidence. He had to catch Darnell red-handed to ensure there would be no room for excuses afterward, and on the morrow, he would. Conclusion of the first section. Victor made his entrance early the following morning, the parking lot enveloped in a shroud of mist. He gripped the receipt from the previous day's customer tightly, the ink faintly blurred from his hold. He had hardly closed his eyes, replaying every conceivable strategy in his thoughts. As he strolled through the rear entrance, he punched in, his time at the old terminal, the display flickering as if it were on the verge of failing at any moment. Cassidy brushed past him near the loading dock, her arms laden with supply boxes. Be cautious today, she murmured, maintaining her pace. Travis mentioned that the district will be making an unexpected visit shortly. Victor's brow furrowed ever so slightly. That might create challenges or serve as an ideal chance. Within the services department, Darnell stood behind the counter, issuing commands to a young porter who seemed hardly old enough to be on the road. Victor feigned an interest in arranging a pile of documents close by, all the while remaining attentive to his surroundings. As the clock struck mid-morning, a woman clad in professional attire made her way to the counter. Her posture was lively, assured. Text. I need to arrange for the delivery of the sofa, she remarked, setting the receipt on the table. Victor observed. As Darnell leaned closer, his voice dripping with an unsettling charm. Well, madam, typically delivery is complimentary. However, due to inventory delays, we are recommending that customers consider upgrading to priority service. Just $99 ensures delivery within a fortnight. The woman arched an eyebrow. That detail was not disclosed at the time of my purchase. Darnell's smile lacked any genuine warmth. This month brings a new policy. Victor moved in a bit, feigning an interest in the scattered paperwork on the side. The woman paused for a moment, then ultimately agreed, retrieving her card. Darnell swiftly completed the transaction, presenting a fresh receipt without providing any written clarification regarding the alleged policy. Victor felt ready to face him at last. However, he required irrefutable evidence articulated by management themselves. It's more than mere speculation. He required Darnell to confess it plainly. In the quiet moments following lunch, Victor took advantage of the opportunity. Darnell rested against the customer service counter, idly picking at his fingernail. Victor strolled over with an easy demeanor. Hey, Darnell, he said, maintaining a cheerful tone. Could you explain how that fast-track process operates? What happens if a customer becomes aware? Darnell let out a low, greasy chuckle. They will not. Individuals often overlook the details in the fine print. They have too much on their plates. Maintain a calm demeanor, present it as routine, and the majority will comply without dispute. Victor nodded slowly, a wave of unease washing over him. Is it an official policy? He proceeded with caution. Darnell shrugged, a self-satisfied sparkle dancing in his gaze. Is it significant? The store manager is agreeable as long as the figures are satisfactory. Incentives are provided when we successfully promote a sufficient number of upgrades. You're looking to advance in this area. Engage in the game. Victor's hand longed to seize him by the collar, yet he maintained a composed demeanor and stepped back. He had listened to all he could take. As the afternoon wore on, the familiar cadence of the store continued unabated. Victor assisted in loading hefty boxes into a customer's pickup, his muscles protesting more intensely than the day before. Cassidy toiled in the vicinity, meticulously replenishing the cleaning supplies. Victor captured her attention. "Hey, Cassidy," he murmured softly. "If an individual wished to bring something to attention, to whom would they turn?" She paused, surveying her surroundings. It's labeled as the HR hotline, yet it inevitably leads back to Dennis, the store manager. It always leads to nothing. Victor's jaw clenched. "Thanks," he said, his voice gruffer than he meant it to be. She cast him a penetrating gaze, yet remained silent. At approximately 5 o'clock, Travis summoned an urgent gathering in close proximity to the break room. The team assembled, a number of them appearing weary. Travis announced, chewing gum loudly, that district managers would be stopping by tomorrow morning. Everyone must stay sharp. Beaming faces, additional offers, immaculate uniforms. Victor observed the subtle droop of Cassidy's shoulders, as though the added burden pressed down on her like a tangible force. As the group began to scatter, Victor made his way over to Travis. He posed a question. "What occurs if an individual fails to meet their upsell targets?" Travis scoffed. "They receive reduced hours, or 0 hours?" Uncomplicated, Victor tucked that away with a heavy heart. That evening, after finishing work, he settled into his car, fingers tightly wrapped around the steering wheel. The sun sank beneath the horizon, casting the sky in shades of deep muted hues. He gazed at his reflection in the rearview mirror, the faux glasses sliding down his nose. If he allowed this to continue for another day, additional customers would fall victim to deceit. More talented individuals like Cassidy would be stifled by the burden of a corrupt system. He retrieved his phone and dialed Jenna, his executive assistant, the sole individual aware of his true whereabouts. "Jenna, I require your presence here tomorrow morning discreetly. Take HR head Craig along with you. Instruct them to arrive in casual attire without any badges or formal announcements." "Got it," Jenna replied sharply. Victor hung up, a rush of adrenaline coursing through him. He refused to allow his father's legacy to decay amidst the avarice of these individuals. Not yet another day. The following morning dawned sharp and frigid. Victor donned the same creased uniform, merging with the throng of workers hustling to ensure the store gleamed. At precisely 9, Jenna and Craig entered one after the other, appearing just like ordinary patrons. They lingered at the front, feigning interest in the appliances on display. Victor glanced at Cassidy, offering a subtle nod in acknowledgement. She appeared confused, yet resumed her task of arranging the brochures. Victor made his way to Darnell. At the services desk. "It seems like quite a hectic morning, doesn't it?" Victor remarked with a casual tone. Darnell hardly acknowledged him. Indeed, the district can be quite frustrating. They scrutinize every detail. Victor leaned in, lowering his voice to a whisper. "Hey, regarding that fast-track initiative, should we intensify our efforts today? Enhance the figures?" Darnell smiled, revealing his discolored teeth. "Precisely. The district is always eager to learn about innovative sources of revenue. Maintain the momentum." Victor stood tall, his heart pounding fiercely. He pivoted to face the heart of the store and lifted his hand, momentarily capturing Craig's gaze. With determination, Craig and Jenna moved forward, their expressions resolute. Victor turned back to Darnell, who was now tapping on the register with growing impatience. Before Darnell could respond, Victor removed his glasses, tousling his hair, and standing with a newfound confidence. "Darnell Reynolds," Victor remarked, his voice slicing through the ambient noise of the store. Darnell stared, his mouth agape, as he uttered, "You're finished here." "What? Who are you?" Victor's voice was as sharp as steel. "I am Victor Ramsey, owner and CEO." The hue vanished from Darnell's complexion, and the employees around him stood still, caught in a moment of disbelief. A shopper let a shopping basket fall, creating a sharp noise that echoed through the store. Craig retrieved a slender folder, packed with documented grievances, receipts, and Victor's handwritten observations. Craig's voice carried a steady yet authoritative quality. "Mr. Reynolds, your employment is hereby terminated effective immediately due to serious misconduct, fraudulent activities, and a breach of customer trust. You will be escorted off the premises." "By security," Darnell stammered, glancing about for assistance that was nowhere to be found. Travis subtly distanced himself, feigning interest in a showcase of blenders. As security drew near, Darnell attempted to put on a brave front. "This is absurd. It's common practice and it's how we achieve our goals." Victor remained unfazed. "Take ownership of your choices and leave." As Darnell was escorted away, Cassidy remained motionless by the cleaning aisle, her mouth slightly agape. Victor approached her with a purposeful stride. "Cassidy Zimmerman, he murmured, his voice gentle. "Your dedication and integrity have not gone unnoticed. I am pleased to announce your promotion to interim department head, effective immediately, along with full training and a raise." She blinked quickly, grappling to articulate her thoughts. "Thank you. You earned it," Victor said simply, turning to the assembled employees. "This establishment is undergoing a transformation. Effective immediately, there will be no more deceit, no more coercion to mislead patrons. If anyone has any concerns, my door is always open." The atmosphere transformed, a palpable tension sparking before gradually dissipating. Cassidy adjusted her expression, fierce with newfound determination. Victor understood that this was merely the start. There would be additional challenges to address, trust to restore, yet for the first time in ages he sensed something genuine awaken within him. Pride. Victor lingered by the customer service desk, observing the anxious crowd that had assembled following Darnell's departure. A handful of employees exchanged hushed words, casting furtive looks in his direction. Some averted their gazes, feigning engagement in rearranging shelves that were already in order. Cassidy observed him intently, the excitement of the promotion, still evident on her face, yet now softened by an emerging awareness of her responsibilities. Victor offered her a brief nod, before shifting his attention to the front of the store, where Jenna and Craig stood waiting. He gestured for them to accompany him into the rear offices. The fluorescent lights hummed above, illuminating the narrow corridor adorned with old company posters that seemed to whisper tales of a bygone era. Within the confines of the conference room, Victor shut the door behind him. The walls were delicate, allowing the hushed murmurs of the store to seep in, yet he maintained a voice that was calm and measured. "Craig, please initiate prompt reviews of all service transactions from the last 6 months. Seek out trends and discrepancies. Retrieve the security footage if necessary. I request a comprehensive audit." Craig acknowledged with a nod, swiftly retrieving his laptop. "Jenna, please provide me with a list of individuals responsible for approving these service charges. I'm not only interested in Darnell, I want to uncover who else was aware and chose to ignore it." She swiftly typed a brief message on her phone, her face revealing nothing. Victor reclined against the table, his arms crossed in contemplation. This was not merely the error of an individual. It was a systemic issue that permitted such behavior to thrive, and we shall extinguish it. There was no need for them to inquire about the consequences for anyone else who might be deemed guilty. After allowing them to focus on their duties, Victor made his way back to the main area. The store hummed with a peculiar, rigid atmosphere, as if each person was navigating a delicate balance. Patrons flowed in, unaware of the turmoil brewing. Beneath the surface, the employees exchanged furtive glances, caught in a dilemma of whether to engage with him or steer clear altogether. Cassidy positioned herself at the services counter, meticulously organizing the disheveled brochures. She tensed as Victor drew near, yet he maintained a casual tone. "Come take a stroll with me," he suggested. She placed the stack down and walked alongside him as they headed toward the furniture section. "What do you find to be your greatest obstacle in this situation, Cassidy?" Victor inquired, maintaining a leisurely pace. She paused, weighing her words before responding thoughtfully. "Personnel management. We consistently find ourselves lacking. Managers reduced hours to minimize payroll expenses. Many of us find ourselves finishing up tasks even after our official hours, driven by the desire to leave things tidy. However, it lacks sustainability. Victor took that in silently. Why hasn't anyone elevated it further? Cassidy let out a laugh that echoed emptily. Whenever a complaint is voiced, the frequency of scheduling diminishes. Alternatively, they end up with the undesirable shifts. Individuals quickly adapt to maintaining silence. Victor paused beside a display of leather couches, pivoting to meet her gaze. That stops here. Cease all acts of vengeance. If you witness it occurring with anyone, please inform me right away. Cassidy's eyes grew a fraction larger, yet she gave a subtle nod. Additionally, Victor mentioned, I am granting approval for emergency overtime for those who are willing to extend their hours this week to address overdue tasks. Only voluntary. Take your time. A gentle sigh slipped from her lips, as though a burden she hadn't known she bore had eased just a little. I'll share the news, she said. Victor observed her departure, discreetly gathering a few colleagues to share the news of the shift. Rebuilding trust requires more than just policy changes. However, every small step counts. Close to the electronics section, Victor noticed Travis, bent over the counter tinkering with his phone. There are no customers in the vicinity, and no staff members require assistance. Merely Travis aimlessly browsing through social media, his expression vacant and unfocused. Victor moved quietly until he was merely a few feet away. Travis looked up, his eyes growing wide as he realized who it was. He forcefully tucked the phone into his back pocket. A leader. He hesitated, glancing over the inventory updates. Victor remained unblinking. Join me for a stroll, Travis. Travis paused, then awkwardly shuffled alongside him. Could you share details about your position here? Victor inquired with a composed demeanor. Well, assistant manager. I manage scheduling, oversee supplies, and address customer issues as they arise. At times, I assist in managing the service desk, Victor acknowledged, with a contemplative nod. And how long have you been aware of the unauthorized service fees? Travis halted in his tracks. I heard whispers, but I lacked any solid evidence. I decided it wasn't my role to pry. Victor halted his steps and pivoted to confront him directly. It's not your role to shield customers from deception, Travis gulped, his Adam's apple rising and falling. I had no intention of creating any issues. I need this job. Victor's expression grew stern. You believe that safeguarding your position is more important than safeguarding the individuals who place their trust in us, with their finances. Travis's lips parted and shut, yet silence lingered in the air. Victor sprang into action without hesitation. Your employment is hereby terminated, effective immediately. Craig will take care of your exit paperwork. Travis appeared ready to contest, yet a single look at Victor's expression advised him otherwise. He pivoted and made his way back to the offices, his silence speaking volumes. Victor let out a soft breath, sensing the store's heavy ambience change ever so slightly. While fear may not serve as a constructive motivator, the importance of accountability remains undeniable. By late afternoon, Jenner came back with a concise list of employees who had approved questionable transactions, in addition to Darnell. Only two names caught my attention: Marcus from appliances and Elise from home goods. Victor spotted Marcus, first assisting a customer in selecting a washing machine. He held off until the transaction was complete before gesturing for Marcus to come over to the side aisle. I require a term, Victor stated. Marcus, a towering figure with a buzz, cut and cautious eyes, cleaned his hands on his apron. Indeed, Victor maintained a steady tone. For how long have you been imposing unapproved charges on delivery services? Marcus's complexion grew a shade lighter. No, I wasn't the one who initiated it. Darnell informed us that it was a pilot program, and mentioned that corporate had given their approval. Victor observed him intently. Your new customers were incorrectly billed for something they should not have been charged for. Have you ever reached out to corporate for confirmation? Marcus gave a slight shake of his head. No, sir. Victor's voice lowered a notch. Your actions are your own responsibility. What if someone suggested differently? Marcus cast his gaze downward, a flush of embarrassment staining his cheeks. I apologize. Craig will handle your termination. Your time here is complete. Marcus nodded dejectedly and turned away in silence. Victor did not relish the experience. Letting people go brought no joy, yet the brand needed to hold significance. Integrity was non-negotiable. The search for Elise took more time than anticipated. She found herself in the stockroom, meticulously organizing a fresh delivery of lamps. As Victor drew near, she stood tall, flicking away the dust that clung to her sleeves. "Text, I heard about what happened," she said, cutting him off before he could respond. "You're not here to let me go, are you?" "It varies," Victor remarked. "Did you intentionally impose fraudulent charges on customers?" Elise's expression contorted, not in remorse but in bold resistance. "It's something that everyone engages in. How do you expect us to meet our quotas when they keep increasing every quarter?" Victor's jaw clenched. "So you acknowledge your involvement?" "I did what I had to do to survive," she snapped. "The door. There's right there," Victor stated with an emotionless tone. "You're done." Elise tossed her apron aside, grumbling quietly as she marched away. Victor pivoted toward the store, sensing the gravity of each choice coalesce around him. As the sun began to set, the most troublesome individuals had departed. The remaining staff, though rattled, advanced with a fresh sense of determination. Cassidy had taken the initiative to assemble a team for a thorough cleaning of the overlooked stockroom. A different team was updating the old signage by the entrance. Victor lingered by the front windows, observing the dimming lights cascade over the parking lot. He had not resolved all the issues. Far from it. The store required additional hires, improved training, and more effective communication channels. For the first time in what felt like months, perhaps even years, there was a sense that the foundation had regained its strength. Cassidy approached, a clipboard secured beneath her arm. "We're a bit understaffed this evening," she remarked. "A group of us decided to stay late, and there are no complaints to be heard." Victor gave a satisfied nod. "Excellent. Tomorrow we will begin the recruitment process in earnest, with improved pay scales and genuine benefits." Cassidy's lips formed a subtle, resolute smile. "Finally." Victor surveyed the store again, shelves partially filled, staff navigating swiftly yet wearied, clients engaging in conversation with attentive team members. It wasn't flawless. It may not have been refined, but it was sincere, and that sufficed for today. By the next morning, the ambiance of the store had transformed once more, yet this time the transformation was anchored in something more solid than mere apprehension. Employees advanced with a careful hopefulness, not entirely at ease but free from the burdens of the past, which had been felt but never seen. The floors gleamed with cleanliness, the service desk functioned seamlessly, and customers took their time engaging in meaningful conversations rather than hastily completing dubious transactions. Victor made his entrance ahead of schedule, donning his familiar suit for the first time in several days. Enough with the facade. His presence was now known, and today was focused on solidifying the transformations within the store's core. Cassidy stood near the front, clipboard secured under one arm, directing a group of younger employees as they worked on reorganizing the entrance displays. She noticed him and walked over, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I've compiled a list of our top priority hires," Cassidy remarked, extending a printed sheet. "Roles that are essential to fill initially, according to our workflow priorities." Victor examined the list, appreciating its straightforward and functional design. Stock clerks, drivers, and customer service representatives play essential roles. She had even outlined suggested hourly rates, a bit above what had previously been on the table. "Well done," Victor remarked as he folded the paper. "I will have Jenna share these openings right away. And I want you to be present during the interviews." Cassidy's eyebrows arched slightly. "Who? Me?" Victor remarked that you are the one who understands the daily needs of this store. The time has come for the individuals here to express their opinions on who becomes part of the team. Cassidy nodded slowly, absorbing the gravity of the responsibility. Victor shifted his gaze to the heart of the store, where Craig and Jenna had arranged a temporary desk for immediate applications. A modest sign declaring, "We're hiring, join." Our team leaned against a tidy pile of forms. By noon, a handful of applicants had arrived, some intrigued, others in dire need. Victor remained close, attentive yet unobtrusive. Cassidy carried out concise pre-screenings, posing straightforward inquiries regarding work ethic, availability, and experience in customer service. An applicant, a slender man in his 40s, slouched against the desk with a relaxed demeanor. "So, what's the least I need to do to manage here?" he inquired, a hint of a smirk playing on his lips. Cassidy's demeanor remained unchanged, yet her tone was resolute. "We seek individuals who are committed to excellence in their work. If that doesn't pique your interest, you might want to look elsewhere." The man nonchalantly shrugged and strolled out, disregarding the application entirely. Victor met Cassidy's gaze, exchanging a subtle nod of affirmation. A different candidate, a young woman with weary eyes and rough hands, shared passionately about her experience handling heavy freight in her previous position. Cassidy gathered the information meticulously, assuring a follow-up interview later in the week. In the meantime, Craig immersed himself in the audit of previous transactions, finding a secluded spot where he could focus. Every so often, he would shake his head in disbelief as he stumbled upon yet another instance of minor abuses of authority that had slipped through the cracks. Every report, every receipt, every detail was meticulously recorded to ensure that nothing was overlooked. In a brief moment of quiet, Victor drew Denise, the gentle-voiced replacement assistant manager for Travis, into a secluded discussion by the break room. Victor mentioned that he is developing a new code of conduct, establishing real standards that extend beyond the handbook, values such as integrity, accountability, and employee support. Denise adjusted her glasses, contemplating with a thoughtful nod. That would have a significant impact. It's essential for individuals to feel that their leaders are supportive and have their interests at heart. "Precisely," Victor remarked. "It must be applied consistently, without any bias. No leniency for top achievers who misbehave." Denise's lips pressed together with a hint of tension. Darnell managed to evade consequences for an extended period in that manner. There was a belief that achieving your targets meant you could escape any consequences. "Not anymore," Victor stated. The store was not merely reconstructing its workforce and procedures, it was reconstructing its essence. Later that afternoon, Victor strolled through the space once more, taking note of the way the employees engaged with one another, free from the oppressive presence of negativity. Cassidy was guiding a new team member on the best practices for arranging the seasonal section. The stock team was genuinely engaging in communication across departments, a practice that had evidently been overlooked in the past. A customer walked up to the service desk, clutching a delivery receipt and wearing a look of confusion. A junior staff member, visibly anxious, beckoned Cassidy over. Victor lingered, observing intently. Cassidy leaned in, attentively absorbing the customer's worry regarding the delivery date. Rather than dismissing her or attempting to push for more, Cassidy expressed regret for the misunderstanding, reviewed the open time slots, and proposed the earliest available date at no extra cost. The customer smiled warmly as she departed, expressing her gratitude for the honesty shared. Victor took a moment to exhale softly, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. As the day drew to a close, Jenna presented him with a slender folder labeled Final Audit Summary. Victor perused the pages, taking in the stark figures. Approximately 15% of all service transactions in the last year featured unauthorized charges. The increase in revenue was superficial, concealing more profound problems related to customer loyalty and employee satisfaction. He shut the folder with a decisive snap. "Refunds will be issued as necessary," Victor stated. "Should I connect on a personal level?" "No form letters," Jenna acknowledged, already jotting down her thoughts. "And what about the employees who looked the other way but didn't take part?" she inquired. "Retraining will be provided," Victor mentioned. "There's a single opportunity, yet the standards have shifted significantly, quite distinct." As the final patrons departed, Victor assembled the remaining staff at the front of the store. Without a formal stage or microphone, he stood among them, making eye contact with each one. "I owe you an apology," Victor stated, his voice firm yet resonant throughout the space. I ought to have recognized what was unfolding here earlier. I placed my faith in systems rather than individuals. Such a situation will not occur again. The staff paid attention, with some crossing their arms while others allowed their wary faces to relax a bit. This store was established on a foundation of trust, Victor continued. We may have lost that connection between us and our customers, as well as between leadership and staff, but from this day forward, we are committed to rebuilding it together. Allowed the words to linger, imbuing them with significance. It's time to stop taking shortcuts and to stop shielding poor conduct simply for convenience. If you notice an issue, speak up, and you will be safeguarded for doing so. Cassidy stood near the front, her chin lifted just a bit higher than it had been days ago as Victor continued. We are increasing salaries universally by 10%. Starting next quarter, full-time employees will enjoy enhanced health benefits, and we are establishing an internal committee comprising representatives from all departments to communicate concerns directly to leadership. A soft whisper spread among the crowd, skepticism transforming into tentative optimism. This isn't charity, Victor stated. You truly deserve this, as this company wouldn't be here without your contributions. He withdrew, allowing them to take it all in. Cassidy walked up to him later, her voice tinged with deep feeling. Do you truly mean every word of this? Victor locked eyes with her, unwavering. I certainly do. If I happen to forget it again, I trust you will remind me. Cassidy let out a brief chuckle, the first genuine one he had ever heard from her. Agreed. As the employees meandered out, some tidying up displays while others departed for their families, Victor remained by the front doors. The shop had its flaws, as it always would, yet it represented genuine effort at this point, genuine individuals striving to create something greater, and for Victor, that held more significance than any financial statement or boardroom discussion. The sun sank. Beneath the horizon, stretching elongated shadows over the pavement, Victor observed Cassidy and a few others as they completed the locking-up process, engaging in soft conversation not from apprehension, but from a sense of togetherness. He averted his gaze from the glass, sensing the reassuring heft of the keys, nestled in his pocket. The keys to a cherished haven he vowed never to let it decay again. You